यहीं से कंटिन्यू करना है नेक्स्ट?
Okay, we can move on to the next topic.
नेक्स्ट राइटर एक्टिविस्ट KJ बेबी, वॉइस ऑफ वायनाड ट्राइबल्स, dies at 70. So again, this is regarding social activist KJ Baby. So he worked for the upliftment of tribals in Wayanad. Again, due to grief of his wife's death, he committed suicide, most probably with a letter. And Baby was known for his unconventional school Kannab, which he established in 1991 for tribal students. So he had carved a niche for himself as a writer, dramatist, and filmmaker. तो यहाँ पे we can see an example कि कैसे if we wish to do something for the society, we can do it at the ground level itself. So he's a social activist, and for the tribals themselves, school established कर रहे हैं. So positive step for the welfare. You can just remember the name and mention it somewhere. KJ Baby. Next, opening up the field. So combination of subsidies and incentives can help Punjab Haryana transition to less water guzzling crops. So again, when we talk about a shift from monoculture of rice and wheat to that of pulses, oil seeds and millets, तो क्यों ये important हो जाता है? तो major concern is environmental. जैसे कि it is very water intensive. When we talk about rice majorly, तो water intensive है, and the crops like pulses, oilseeds and millets, they are comparatively more climate resilient and very less water intensive. Further, जब हम मीथेन emissions की बात करते हैं या फिर ग्रीन हाउस गैस emissions की बात करते हैं, तो पैडी it releases 5 tons CO2 per hectare, CO2 equivalent per hectare. तो यहाँ पे paddy cultivation is also a major driving climate change. Further, consequently, even after the harvest, जब हम बात करते हैं stubble की, तो even that creates pollution due to its burning. So there are several challenges associated, and also regarding the nutritional deficiency. तो उसके लिए भी, तो और ज्यादा enhance करने के लिए और ज्यादा एक prosperous and diverse diet create करने के लिए we can promote the production of pulses, oilseeds and millets, especially in the regions like Punjab and Haryana. अब यहाँ पे major reason क्या बताया जा रहा है? Again, the major reason of these states growing of wheat and rice is the MSP that is provided. And the profitability gap between paddy and its major substitute crops, so it is much more than rupees 17,500 per hectare, जो कि ऑफर हो रहा है. तो रिसर्च एट ICRIER, सेविंग पंजाब एंड हरियाणा फ्रॉम इकोलॉजिकल डिजास्टर, जो कि बहुत ज्यादा डिप्लीशन हो रही है इवन ऑफ द सॉइल एटसेट्रा. तो इसके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है रीओरिएंट करना ऑफ द सब्सिडी पॉलिसी, ताकि एक मोर क्रॉप न्यूट्रल इंटेंसिव स्ट्रक्चर वो क्रिएट हो. तो इम्पोर्टेंट रोल फूड कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया का आ जाता है, एंड ऑल्सो नाफेड. फिर फर्दर सेंट्रल वाटर कमीशन that also can help in tracking etc. कितना water use हो रहा है, what are the status levels of groundwater also. The Central Groundwater Board on water tables reveals that 87% of Punjab's 153 blocks are categorized as overexploited, critical or semi-critical. तो बहुत important है water depletion को prevent करना और एक crop biodiversity को create करना. So what is needed is a bold initiative by the center in collaboration with the two state governments. तो यहाँ पे कॉस्ट भी शेयर की बात हो रही है, 60-40 and 50-50 रेशियो. तो agencies, they can purchase pulses, oilseeds, cotton, millets, or even kharif maize at MSPs. This could mitigate market risk for non-paddy crops. तो again यहाँ पे subsidy policy को revamp करना is important so as to see a change. A sustainable agriculture. When we talk about agricultural sustainability in the state, that can be promoted. Next, how Supreme Court has centered rights of the accused in recent PMLA cases. तो राइट्स ऑफ पीपल अंडर द प्रिवेंशन ऑफ मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एक्ट 2002 वो कैसे क्या क्या प्रोविजंस है अरेस्ट के बेल के. तो अगेन प्रिवेंटिव डिटेंशन यहाँ पे हो सकता है कि जस्ट ऑन द सस्पेक्ट कि द पर्सन माइट कमिट अ क्राइम, तो उसके बेसिस पर भी कैन हैपन. So PMLA gives ED the power of arrest if the material it possesses gives a reason to believe an individual is guilty of money laundering. So as soon as it may be. So grounds are informed orally. So grounds of arrest inform karna, that becomes very important under Article 20 of the Constitution. Okay, why the individual is being arrested. फिर on bail for under trials. So if a person has been detained for up to half the maximum period of imprisonment for that offense while the trial or investigation is underway, they shall be released on bail. तो यहाँ पे टाइम की बात हो रही है कि till what time can they be kept under custody. Needy and necessity. अच्छा, that was I guess a preventive detention is under UAPA, not under PMLA. तो जैसे केजरीवाल के केस में भी that his arrest under the section 19 of PMLA was illegal and there was no necessity to arrest him. So there should be a proper reason to believe. And stringent twin conditions होनी चाहिए for bail, which require an accused to prove that he has not committed an offense under the PMLA. And bail exception for women. तो जो कविता जी थी would benefit from the exception in section 45 which states that a woman may be released on bail if the special courts direct so. These are some major provisions. And the person in custody is not a person who can be considered as one operating with a free mind.
And
To
here,
compel the testimony.
Supreme Court has also said that the power to arrest under this PMLA Act 2002 cannot be exercised as per the whims and fancies of the ED. So here the opinion of the ED officer is undoubtedly subjective, but the formation of opinion, it should be in accordance with the law. So this is what the Supreme Court stance is.
Next, dehyphenating rice wheat. Again, this is regarding कि कैसे हम focus change कर सकते हैं. The production challenge is rising consumption and rice seeding. Rice seeing a surplus problem. The two cereals have become grains apart. तो top rice producers की जब हम बात करते हैं, तो West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, and here we have top wheat producers. जिसमें we have उत्तर प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश, पंजाब, हरियाणा, राजस्थान. This is overall India. क्या डेटा है मेजरली 2024 में अगर हम देखते हैं तो राइस का प्रोडक्शन again has increased over the past 3 years. उससे पहले तक wheat का production was higher than that of rice. This is the major trend that we can see from this chart. So rice is grown both during the Kharif, Southwest monsoon and Rabi, winter spring season. So wide geography maybe it is grown. Just 16 states may it is spread, producing 2 metric tons, 2 million tons and more each. So increased share of wheat consumption, अलग-अलग ways में it is used, जैसे कि whole grain flour, आटा, semi-processed semolina, सूजी, रवा, and consumed at home. तो ये वीट प्रोडक्शन की बात हो रही है. कंजम्पशन हैज बीन राइजिंग एंड ऑल्सो रिफाइंड फ्लावर और मैदा. पॉलिसी implications में अगेन साउथ इंडिया में राइस इज मोर commonly eaten. So South Indian today takes wheat in some of form or other, at least in one meal. Rice is not caught on in the north like wheat has in the south. So wheat in the south also has increased a lot. लेकिन नॉर्थ में ऐसा केस नहीं है. तो increasing consumption again similarly we just need a shift in the policies. Serious surplus and monocropping, lack of diversification problem. So that's all that is important here. Further, Rule 170 of Drugs Act, over which Ayush Ministry was pulled over. So this is regarding Supreme Court case against Patanjali Ayurved. It pulled up Ayush Ministry for its July 1 notification to not take any action under Rule 170 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. तो 2018 में this rule was introduced. तो ये prevent करने के लिए of misleading advertisements of Ayush products. तो जैसे कोविड के टाइम पे भी we saw कि there was a medicine that was rolled out by Patanjali themselves regarding COVID. It can cure it. So Drugs and Magic Remedies Act, that also becomes important here.
So when we are comparing the standards and the proper procedure to again certify, approve, and test the standard safety standards of the medicines, we have the Drugs and Cosmetics Act for the new allopathic medicines which are being again tried and tested and more research and development is being done. But we lack such types of measures when it comes to the Ayush drugs, or for example, again, the Ayurveda, Unni, Yoga, Siddha, such types of areas. So that is why the main concern is the standard of the drugs availability in the market, whether they are really safe for human consumption or not. And we require more of safety trials to be conducted of the formulations, and again then we require more funds for research and development at the same time, because this can be again a unique advantage, a unique strength of India, particularly in the pharmaceutical sector also.
Why Namibia plans to kill hundreds of its majestic wild animals for meat. So again here there are several conditions, majorly drought condition, that has impacted Namibia. So here Namibia plans to kill hundreds of its most majestic wild animals, including dozens of elephants, hippopotamus, to provide meat for its 1.4 million people, nearly half of the southern African nation's population. तो बहुत सारे एनिमल्स को यहाँ कट किया जाएगा, in thousands maybe. तो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज को यहाँ यूज किया जाएगा फॉर फूड. क्यों किया जाएगा? बिकॉज ऑफ द ड्रॉट कंडीशन दैट इज प्रिवेलिंग इन नामीबिया. तो मैप में अगर हम देख सकते हैं तो नामीबिया एंड हियर नेबरिंग कंट्रीज में वी हैव अंगोला एंड बोत्सवाना, ज़ाम्बिया और जिम्बाब्वे, दे आर आल्सो नेबरिंग कंट्रीज. तो ड्रॉट प्रोन एरिया में इट इज प्रेजेंट एंड नेशनल इमरजेंसीज भी डिक्लेयर करी गई थी प्रीवियसली. And now the drought is devastating. Above average temperature, soil moisture deficits, or vegetation stress. So again, agriculture cannot be promoted here, and इसलिए there is a shift towards meat.
So
Now here drought के हम देखें, so we can we can take steps such as ki interlinking of rivers that can take place here. Further, also the water import करना from the other neighboring countries, etc. Water transport, better connectivity create करना, dams, etc. Reservoirs, रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग, these can be the major top measures जो कि help कर सकते हैं in the measurement, in the drought resilience.
प्रॉब्लम ये है ना प्रेम ये सब भी ऑप्शन अवेलेबल है नहीं, बिकॉज जो सराउंडिंग कंट्रीज भी है, इवन वी कैन से कि रिवर्स दे हैव ड्राइड अप, रेनफॉल इतना नहीं हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ एल नीनो इम्पैक्ट्स. सो दैट इज व्हाई अभी कोई सस्टेनेबल सोल्यूशन नहीं दिख रहा है. सो दैट इज व्हाई पीपल आर शिफ्टिंग टुवर्ड्स दिस ऑप्शन. बट द क्वेश्चन इज, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द रोल ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑफिस फॉर द कोऑर्डिनेशन ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटेरियन अफेयर्स, can't it be possible? Because if we talk about the global situation of the food supply, so we are food surplus. So what role can even India play in terms of making adequate amount of food available to the people when we're talking about again, India has major role in terms of providing the humanitarian aid, be it through the medical services or the food supply or the availability of again the first aid kits and all of that. So even other countries need to come up together to ensure that the animals are not sacrificed because there is food scarcity in Namibia and the even the neighboring countries.
And also, apart from the role of the institutions that you mentioned and help it can receive from other countries, such as India as well, in terms of food and water, here it is mentioned that जो major reason है, that is not just for the food that they are cutting, but also the droughty conditions will make a shift. They will force the animals to run towards the localities, etc. for food and water, जो again जिससे कि human wildlife conflict हो सकता है. तो उसको प्रिवेंट करने के लिए भी इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. तो यूनाइटेड नेशन ऑफिस फॉर द कोऑर्डिनेशन ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटेरियन अफेयर्स, so here the important role of the human rights, humanitarian affairs, UN bodies. Still. Next, a general resting place among the first and last monuments of its kind. So on a visit to Humayun Tomb, so UNESCO World Heritage Site, it is easy to miss the countless big and small in ruins, well-preserved monuments in the complex. So here is the tomb of Isa Khan Niasi, which precedes the monument that the complex is best known for by several years. तो यहाँ पे octagonal structure with blue tiles adorning its domes. तो यहाँ पे बताया जाए regarding it. Rahim tomb, Humayun tomb, and all the mausoleums in Sundar nurseries. तो दिल्ली की बात हो रही है majorly. What are all the ancient things that we can get? The Sufi saint Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia, we read about it some days ago. क्या it is important. Brotherhood के proliferation की जब हम बात करते हैं तो उसमें फिर quartzite is very hard metamorphic rock with large grains that can't be carved. This is why architecture in the Sultanate period seems lumpy, marked by thick pillars, far removed from delicate structures made of sandstone and marble during the Mughal period. The style of preservation की बात हो रही है of ASI and the Agra Khan Trust, जो कि preserve करते हैं और such cultural heritage. तो painting is a major way of preservation. Next, delay in pressing charges against the accused of Delhi. 1984 speaks of long justice, many complicities, several abdications. तो 1984 में जो anti-Sikh violence था, that remains one of the darkest episodes. So it happened after the death of Miss Indira Gandhi ji, who was assassinated by two of the Sikh personals. तो उसके बाद it happened. Now fingers are pointed at Tyler. So high-profile Congress leader Jagdish Tyler, in a case in which 3 people were killed and Pul Bangas Gurudwara in Delhi was torched. तो उसके लिए there was a case that was filed 2005 में GT नानावती कमीशन जो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने लेड करा टू प्रोब द किलिंग्स कि कैसे हाउ टाइटलर लेड द मॉब एट पुल बंगस, तो उसके रिगार्डिंग दिस इज देयर. So how can we prevent such emergencies that are created and such riots that happen? Next, center to nudge states to up the game on FDIs. तो अगेन फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट को और ज्यादा इनहांस करना टू फोस्टर कंपटीशन अमंग द स्टेट्स ताकि वो ट्रैक करे. तो सेंटर विल आस्क देम टू ईज एक्सेस, मिनिमाइज कंप्लायंस, रिफॉर्म लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग नॉर्म्स. तो अगेन और ज्यादा एफिशिएंसी होगी and there will not be much compliance and regulations that will have to be adhered to and taken care of. तो उतने ही ज्यादा ease होएगा, ease of trade and ease of investment that will be promoted here. Single point focus and will make efforts in this regard. The promotion of trade and investment. Investment friendly charter that is being prepared by the Niti Aayog. Next, when the exit door is a better option than basement labs. This is regarding enrollment. So, based in West Delhi, Sri Guru Hari Krishna Private ITI is located behind a public school with the same name. और बिना locals की help की teach करना is not easy. So enrollments have dropped sharply. So existential crisis is being faced by ITI. So again here advertisements can be used. Better social media का use हो सकता है for creating awareness regarding the enrollment. And also quality can be enhanced. Better location can be used instead of staying at the same place. So macro data shows that the state of enrollments in private ITIs are worse than government ITIs. Next, China's shares in India's MSME goods imports rises. Hits local producers, Global Trade Research Initiative. So again, this is regarding enhancing the domestic production. कैसे that becomes important ताकि competition create ना हो. Because already India China के साथ एक trade deficit की condition face करता है. And also इससे competition increase होएगा. And there will be a market competition that will be faced by the domestic players. तो उसको avoid करने के लिए trade balance करना is important. Again यहाँ पे data mentioned है कि more than 35% of India's deficit in merchandise trade was accounted by China in the first 6 months of 2024. तो इसके लिए there should be better regulations regarding this, जैसे कि import duties etc. levy करना. These can be some of the major steps. And also better support for the indigenous manufacturers, domestic manufacturers, ताकि वो cheaper cost पे उसको sell कर सके. Because again जो consumer है, they prefer the Chinese products more due to their सस्ता and टिकाऊ that is associated with the product. So उसको prevent करना is important, focusing on quality rather than just price. तो इंडिया के जो इंडस्ट्रियल गुड्स इंपोर्ट्स हैं उनमें 30% जो मार्केट शेयर है दैट इज ऑफ चाइना. ONGC Videsh to complete Azerbaijan acquisition in 2 months. So state-owned oil and natural gas corporations overseas arms. So Videsh, ONGC Videsh OBL. Total finalized the acquisition of 0.615%. participating interest in Azerbaijan's offshore. Next, e-waste cash rich but challenges galore. तो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वेस्ट की जब हम बात करते हैं तो कैसे rather than dumping they can be used in other areas. जैसे we also read about the example of Anushka, that was a humanoid robot जिसको कि हमने waste से develop करा था. So similarly, e-waste can be majorly used in creating of humanoids, that is robots, and also other machineries and का reuse कैसे कर सकते हैं. Products that contribute significantly to e-waste जैसे कि batteries, cells, EV batteries, personal accessories, home appliances, how they can be revamped. और कैसे जो इनके parts है, they can be used in other areas. So current processing in India at 25%. Rest yet to be captured. So India is the third largest producer of e-waste. So यहाँ पे again waste segregation at source itself that becomes important. Recycle करना, aggregators and recyclers they can buy and sell high quality plastic, metal, paper and e-waste recyclables. जैसे recycle, this is a marketplace. तो example यहाँ पे mentioned है जहाँ पे we can sell and buy. Sustainable business models. Again, robotics, automation and robotics investments have increased. So human exposure भी कम होएगा इससे of the hazardous materials. तो first है China and USA जो कि e-waste produce करता है. Next, a mini Japan taking shape in Maruti plant shadow. So here this is regarding the Japanese nationals, which are situated in the living in the industrial model township at Kharkoda, Sonipat. So this is majorly the we can see कि कैसे जो investment and industrial development है उसमें how the countries they are collaborating, Japan and India, for example, more specifically. Pharma is in the pink of health. तो इंडियन फार्मा सेक्टर इज फ्लेक्सिंग इट्स मसल्स. तो अगर हम देखते हैं मेजर ट्रेंड कि इंडिया क्या क्या एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है तो इट इज मेजरली द फार्मास्यूटिकल्स जो इंडिया एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है. एंड इवन इन इंडिया जब हम जेनेरिक ड्रग्स के प्रोडक्शन की बात करते हैं तो वो भी बहुत ज्यादा इंक्रीज हो रहा है जिससे कि अफोर्डेबिलिटी ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल्स दैट इज बीइंग मेंटेन्ड. तो लास्ट 12 months में नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज फार्मा हैज अटेंड 50%. तो जो डोमेस्टिक मार्केट है इज डोमिनेटेड by Indian companies with the top 10 holding a 44% share. तो राइजिंग नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज जैसे कि कैंसर, डायबिटीज, लाइफस्टाइल चेंजेस की वजह से, ओबेसिटी एटसेट्रा, एंड इंक्रीजिंग इनकम लेवल्स that improve affordability and competitive pricing. प्राइस हाइक भी बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा है इस फील्ड.
So what are the challenges? Challenges may we are seeing key increased compliance burden hai. There is again increase in the raw material cost, and there also we are import dependent on China up to like 90% when you're talking about the active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are the critical raw materials for the manufacturing of the generic drugs. Then even price competition, particularly in the developed markets, could hurt the profitability of the companies and it can affect the supplies. So these are certain aspects, and even when we're talking about the standard of drugs, so that has of late also come under question. So the role of CDSCO, the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority of India, is crucial. And we are having different schemes also, like we have SEZs also, SEZ parks, pharma parks are there, production linked incentive scheme is there, and compliance with the ESG best practices. So bulk drug parks are likewise on similar lines.
Payment aggregators plan negative database to combat rising frauds. So negative database will be a centralized repository of data that can be shared across payment aggregators to help detect and prevent fraud. तो पेमेंट एग्रीगेटर्स ये पहले से ही डिटेक्ट कर लेंगे तो फ्रॉड बिफोर इट अफेक्ट्स देयर सिस्टम.
So what is negative database? Negative database is maintaining the information on the fraudulent transactions and जो again previously frauds हुए हैं, so that again we are better aware about the nature and the manner through which the frauds can happen. So even protection of that sensitive information is also crucial. And even we are seeing that the role of like online transactions, we are having different NBFC players which are on the rise, or even the payment through the wallets. For example, we have Paytm, or we have Amazon Pay, we have Razor Pay, or we have Phone Pay. So UPI transactions are again hitting records every, we can say, quarter or after a couple of months.
Mansi, you can take this up. SIPs.
It is stating that gross SIP flows may not tell the full story. So it is talking about we need to track and we need to understand the net figures. Net to gross SIP ratio it is talking about. So it is saying that net to gross SIP ratio, it is around 40% since January. And this indicates a significant portion of the gross SIP inflow it is being offset by the redemptions. So we are seeing higher the outflows, lower will be this ratio, and it is almost, we can say, stagnant. So this indicates that the net figure, this ratio is indicating that there is no major inflow which is happening as of now. So uh, that is one of the concerns. And in June 2022, the figure, the ratio had touched even 70%. So at that point of time, if the ratio is higher, it would indicate lower redemptions. If it is lower, it would indicate higher outflow and higher redemptions. So the role of AMFI is the Association of Mutual Funds in India. So SIPs are again the periodic and the automatic payments which get debited from your account on the basis of how much amount you are fixing and what time period you are fixing. It can be on monthly basis, it can be on certain, again, clubbing few days, it can be 10 days, it can be on the basis of quarter and yearly also. So you are making again a thoughtful and a scientific planned investments into the mutual funds. So that is one of the ways SIPs, systematic investment, I think plan, right? So sticky net to gross SIP ratio is a concern for us as of now. So moving from gross to net figures is important.
Next, India's 3.5 million teachers are shaping the country. So this again is regarding
history has shown that all the good leaders, they are great teachers, and all good teachers, they are great leaders. So we can use this sentence even in answers also, or even in essay. So transition from the academic to the corporate leader is not common. So here again, the foundational role is of the education. So when it comes to teacher training, we have, for example, we have, I think, there's Nikshay program which is there for teachers training, and then online tests, for example, mocks are there which will be helping in upskilling and reskilling of the teachers as well. And for example, in Delhi, we had the model of again teachers going to the countries like Norway for better training to learn what is the pedagogy being followed in the advanced countries. So even when we're talking about again better adaptation of the education being imparted, so there we talk about the new education policy 2020, which in which we are focusing and emphasizing the importance role of the regional and the vernacular languages. And for example, even the use of again digital apps. So 48% of the teachers, they are using the language learning apps as well. And So 37% utilize language generation, even the role of artificial intelligence is there. Then we celebrate Teachers' Day, and so this is we are again recognizing the contributions of, again, I think should be Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. So integrity, resilience, and passion. These are the essentials of a good teacher.
So let us see the editor may again doing enough for women's safety. So we're already read regarding focus upon the fast track courts. जो स्पीडी जस्टिस होते हैं इन क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट वुमेन तो अगेन दे मेंशनिंग कि वो इनफ नहीं है इवन कन्विक्शन रेट शुड बी हायर कि कितना स्पीडी जस्टिस हो रहा है एंड हायर कन्विक्शन रेट पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट का सेंसिटाइजेशन नंबर ऑफ women personnel that should also be increased to at least 1/3 of the police force. The ecosystem of crime को revamp करना is important. Again, this is regarding the textile affairs, so footwear market, etc. That was dominated by Bangladesh earlier. Now, due to the democratic instability that persists in the country, India has a higher chance of
So in this case,
orders.
seeing competition from Cambodia and Vietnam. So it is being stated that the time window is very small. So India should grab this opportunity of attracting more of the orders in the textile sector, instead of they being then later on being shifting to Cambodia and Vietnam like countries.
So we have ended here. Thank you everyone for joining. We will continue with the next session.